Happy Mother's Day to the many varieties of mothers: birth mothers, grandmothers, stepmothers, godmothers, adoptive mothers, and honorary mothers, wherever you may be found. Being one of your ranks, I like to lay claim to our most influential role in the lives of the next generation, starting with the moment we chose the man who would father them. For 9 months, we were conscientious about what we ate and drank, or didn't drink. We took courses, read books, and planned how we would be better parents than our own. A goal seldom met, but we did our best. And our children make the same promise to the next generation, to do their best to love and to parent, and do it better than we did. As Christians, we have the one ever constant mother image, that of Mary, the Virgin, the mother of Jesus. But no advice is offered as to rearing children, as silence shrouds the years of the childhood of Jesus. What does the Bible tell us is expected of us as wives and mothers? The description of the ideal woman from Proverbs only leaves us aware of our own inability to ever meet such expectation. Entitled Description of a Worthy Woman, it goes as follows. An excellent wife, who can find? For her worth is far above jewels. The heart of her husband trusts in her, and he will have no lack of gain. She does him good and not evil all the days of her life. She looks for wool and flax, and works with her hands in delight. She is like merchant ships. She brings her food from afar. She rises also while it is still night, and gives food to her household and portions to her maidens. She considers a field and buys it. From her earnings she plants a vineyard. She girds herself with strength and makes her arms strong. She senses that her gain is good. Her lamp does not go out at night. She stretches out her hands to the distaff, and her hands grasp the spindle. She extends her hands to the poor, and she stretches out her hands to the needy. She is not afraid of the snow for all her household are clothed with scarlet. She makes coverings for herself. Her clothing is fine linen and purple. Her husband is known in the gates where he sits among the elders of the land. She makes linen garments and sells them, and supplies belts to tradesmen. Strength and dignity are her clothing, and she smiles at the future. She opens her mouth in wisdom, and the teaching of kindness is on her tongue. She looks well to the ways of her household, and does not eat the bread of idleness. Her children rise up and bless her. Her husband also, and he praises her, saying, "Many daughters have done nobly, but you excel them all." Beyond being told if we follow these expectations, our children will rise up and bless us, this description tells us nothing of how to raise them. Elsewhere, the Bible seems similarly uninterested in the relationship between mothers and children. There are quite a few number of stories of fathers and sons, few with daughters. One exception being Laban, the uncle of Jacob, who demanded 7 years' labor for the hand of Rachel, and then tricked Jacob into marrying Leah and forcing him to put in another 7 years to wed the woman he loved. With sons and fathers, we have Abraham prepared to sacrifice Isaac for God, and all the problems Joseph faced with his brothers over that coat of many colors that their father Israel gave to his favorite son. The mother-son relationships that the Bible present concentrate on barren women who prayed for sons and were blessed with miraculous pregnancies in their later years. These include Elizabeth, the mother of John the Baptist, Rachel, the mother of Joseph, victim of those 11 half-brothers' envy, and Hannah, whose late-in-life son Samuel was given to God's service at the temple at age 3. One small insight into Hannah's love for her son that the Bible records: each year when Hannah and her husband made their trip to sacrifice at Shiloh, where Samuel dwelt with Eli, she brought her son a new robe that she had made. All these sons played significant roles in the Bible, but their relationships with their mothers go almost unrecorded once the miraculous births occur. Yet, when you read the book of Kings, you will notice that when kings are listed as doing good or evil in the sight of the Lord, the name of the king's mother stands beside his. which suggests that the Hebrews regarded the role of a mother as powerful and influential. Credit or blame, given as merited. So, looking to the Bible for guidance on parenting or what is considered the role of mothers is rather futile. Like any reading, the Bible needs to be put in the context of its times, and thus what is considered important to the authors and to the society in which they lived. This is of interest as we watch the furor of the opposing sides south of the border as the draft decision of the Supreme Court on Roe versus Wade became headline news. In Canada, federal and provincial authorities immediately made it clear that this will make no change to our laws or practices. And although having no impact on Canadian lives, it rouses those here who fought to have such procedures recognized as medical matters between patients and doctors, unlike the arguments that have preoccupied the USA over states' rights. Among those fearing the consequences for women in and beyond the USA is Tariq Fatah, a Muslim columnist. Fatah sees this as opening the doors to overwhelming all sorts of progressive laws. He sees the empowerment of women over their bodies as too much to bear for some men and religious leaders. He posits that such a decision removes the hard-fought spaces for women where they are free from the tyranny of men, those who would rather have them as property or factories for human production. He argues that within our borders, misogyny is alive and well, and even female genital mutilation is happening here. Well, if in the 21st century, in the freest nations of the world, the equality and freedom of women is still at issue, it seems unreasonable to expect that their role should have been more advanced thousands of years ago. And yet, as the description of the worthy woman shows, women were expected to work, earn money, buy property, support their husband, and run their household. So, how far have we come, baby? The traditional concept of a female as the possession of her family, meaning her father, until she's married to a man, who then takes ownership, is an old one that still exists in much of the world today. The idea of the autonomous woman is still seen as threatening to the family unit, and the declining number of births among the educated and westernized is commonly seen as proof of the disaster of liberating women. Until recent times, most families worked in the family business. The family farm involved everyone in the changing season, the care of the livestock, the planting and harvesting and preserving. Small children fed the chickens and older ones labored in the fields. Whatever and whoever could do the job did it. And that is still the case in much of the world. The hunters and gatherers, the tradesmen, the fishermen. But as we became industrialized and the potential for women's talents being utilized independently beyond the home were recognized, the issue of rights arose. How rights were to be limited or extended became a subject of debate. Should only property owners have the vote? Should only men? Should that include black men? And then, what about women? Only widows? And who could own and control property? Because once married, male and female became one entity, that of the man who possessed all. When I was young, a woman in Quebec could not have a bank account without her husband's written consent. In Ontario, I experienced being unable to get birth control pills without my husband's consent. Things have changed so much in my lifetime, so it's not unreasonable that some people, particularly those who have not lived through the changes but have come to this country from other lands that have not even started the journey, may find it very difficult to adapt to such notions as individual rights and equality for women. So this Mother's Day, we celebrate the steps taken by our grandmothers and our mothers and those who've gone before for the freedom that their efforts manifested and the dream of equality that they shared and passed on to each succeeding generation. The Bible tells us to love. It does not tell us how to parent or how to respect the equality of those created by God. In his own image, male and female, he created them. common goals, mutual care and respect, the creation of a family, all those things that we hope to be able to celebrate on anniversaries and Mother's and Father's Days. And this is one of those days when we look back at the home in which we were raised, the parents who loved and cared for us, the particular relationship we had with our mothers, which was like no others. And today, we celebrate motherhood. Love is the gift and the dictate of God. It's how we do our best to live as Christians. For, as the chorus of an old hymn goes, and they'll know we are Christians by our love, by our love. Yes, they'll know we are Christians by our love. And surely that is how we know mothers, by their love. May that light ever shine, and may we honor our mothers by protecting, preserving, and forwarding the role of women in these times and in all the years to come. For in that equality is God's love of those created in his image. And in that equality and mutual respect lies all that is best in and for this world. So may it be. Amen. I must admit this talk gave me the opportunity to wander through the Bible and a book, All the Women of the Bible, that my youngest daughter gave me many years ago, where I discovered that there are only 50 women deemed to have played a significant foreground role in the Bible. So that was my Mother's Day present to me. Hours and hours reading and researching and enjoying myself enormously.